Hello everyone, this is Agony333. And today's movie review is going to be over The Ruins. So this is actually an awesome film that a friend of mine from a long time ago recommended. He was a cool coworker, knew a lot of really great music, a lot of cool horror movies, and other stuff like that. And that's another thing I was going to mention, is that this is actually a book. And he had told me that the book is actually even better than the movie, so I thought I would throw that out there, that that there's the book adaptation that this movie's based on, and it's apparently much better. Just like, other cases where I've mentioned that myself when I have read the book or heard of the book and stuff like that. It always tends to be the case, but I haven't picked this book up and read it. I've thought about it, but I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I thought I'd throw that fucking bit out there. But this is a movie from 2008. It's rated R. It is 1 hour and 30 minutes, and it is fucking horror, which is what we love here. And let me get into some things. So the book is actually written by Scott Smith. I thought I'd put that here. I had also heard. I'm pretty sure that my friend, or I had heard that that the writer was a botanist, which is someone who studies plants and things like that. But when I was actually trying to fact check and everything else, find research and everything, I didn't see that to be the case, so I don't know if that was just misinformation or what the hell, but yeah, there's that. But let me see what this is about. So it's pretty much about a group of friends that go to Mexico and everything else, and they're just partying, having a good time. Well, they end up deciding to go to this kind of Mayan temple that's apparently off the maps, other stuff like that, sightsee, and it ends up going horribly wrong. And I can't really get into much else without spoiling fucking heavily. But, so yeah, there might be a couple things I go into spoilers. But I recommend watching this like a lot of other movies I've recommended watching. Check it out blind. You know what I mean? Go into it blind without knowing much about it. That's usually the best experience when it comes to a lot of these horror movies, because, the less you know is the better, because it'll surprise you usually what happens. And, the reveals and other things like that. But what I will try to say to give the reasoning why this film is kind of special, why I'm reviewing it, and why I'm going to give it the score, is because the threat in this film is a pretty unique one. That's what I'll say. At least to me, a lot of horror movies, there's some typical monster or a slasher kind of killer, or, stuff we've seen time and time again. And that's not a bad thing. Never a bad thing. That's always cool. But what I'm trying to say is that in this movie in particular, it handles things differently, and there's kind of a different sort of threat there, which is it's a pretty crazy, fucked up one, but I'll just try to leave it at that, to leave it vague until spoiler territory. One trivia thing I thought was cool, though, is apparently on my phone I had read that Laura Ramsey, she's one of the actors, her name in the movie is Stacy. Apparently, she actually researched part of her role by consulting with medical personnel, professionals, nurses, stuff like that, I guess. So it sounds like, some of the cast members, went about trying to, learn extra things, do extra things for their role in this movie, which is always a really cool thing whenever, cast members are dedicated to the film and all that shit like that. Another thing I'd put here is, if you do happen to check out this movie, I recommend checking out the alternate ending. The ending that the film gets, by default is cool and all. But at least for me, I thought the alternate ending was kind of cool to view. And I've checked out some of the bonus features and stuff here. But let me fucking see. Sadly, I think that's all I can really get into before spoilers. But, like I was saying, the main star, the main attraction to this film is the unique setting, which is one thing I neglected to say. It's the unique setting, as well as the unique threat in this film, which like I said, I'm saving that till spoilers. But if you look into the trailer, look in anything, I can't recall if that will show what exactly they're dealing with, what's going on and all that. But it's a pretty fascinating, cool story and all that stuff. So if you're wanting something that's not your run-of-the-mill, like I said, slasher monster thing, you want something that's a little bit different, then go with this. I can't honestly recall if it's been on disturbing lists, but there's some moments that are pretty fucking crazy in this movie, I'll say. Like I said, it may have been on some disturbing lists in the past. I can't recall. I wouldn't necessarily say it's disturbing, but it's definitely pretty freaky and fucked up. That's all I'll say there. But my score I thought I'd give this is something like a 7, heading to 7.5. It's a pretty awesome film. It was like a cool discovery, like it's always great whenever you're watching kind of typical horror movies and then things get kind of bland and then you get like something that's a, fresh air, kind of something that's new and fresh, and that's kind of what this movie was at the time when I viewed it, when my friend from a long time ago recommended it. It was a cool recommendation. So for any of you who actually want to check this film out, fucking peace. And for anyone else who wants to stick around to talk about the disgusting, malicious, evil force that is in this film, let's do this shit! Alright, so let me get into what the threat is. It's kind of a monster, but it's not your typical kind of monster. It is fucking plants, which kind of lends itself to what I think my friend or whoever had told me said about the writer being a botanist. That would kind of make sense. But whether the writer is or is not, whether that's misinformation or not, I have to say that the writer is pretty fucking awesome for coming up with the ideas that he does in this, in the book adaptation as well as this film. Pretty inventive, pretty fucking smart. At least to me, that's what was kind of neat, is because like a lot of other cases and a lot of other horror movies, it's a slow revealing film. I tried to actually kind of try to pin down the time when the reveal is actually there, what the threat is, but I couldn't do so with the player I have, the DVD player and shit. But it takes a while, building up and everything, which is good. But it's just crazy the kind of things that it goes about doing, where it's mimicking the sounds like via the cell phone and other cool shit like that. I don't know, it was really clever. And to me, like I said, that was kind of the main star of this film, was the threat they were dealing with, this crazy fucked up set of vines and this malicious force that's in this fucking crazy temple and shit. It was pretty cool. Sorry. Lighting me another smoke. But alright. The things I put here are, like I said, it's kind of like, it's not really disturbing, but it was definitely, at least to me, kind of a fucked up kind of threat they were dealing with. So, like, to me, the moment where, later on in the film, where I believe it's Stacy wakes up with the vines in her legs and shit, that shit is just, it was freaky as fuck, like, seeing the vines fucking under her skin and all that. Like, that's what I'm saying, like, the threat was really creative and different, but at the same time, it wasn't just something that's typical and kind of boring or whatever. It was something that kind of freaked you out, at least freaks me out in a way. The thought of that, the way it goes about, not just the body horror aspect, but making these people, like, lose their fucking mind, and the way it all went about. If you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But here's another thing, like, when they actually go into this fucking temple, the thought I had is, like, they go in there after they know about these plants being alive and shit. And what I had to say here is, I don't think I'd want to walk in that shit at all, because that temple is, like, fucking filled to the brim. Like, you see these fucking, you see the vines, you see, like, the flowers, you see the fucking leaves, like, everywhere. Like, I wouldn't even want to step fucking foot in a bush after being through this shit. Like, if I was one of those people, I wouldn't want to be in any sort of fucking vegetation. Get me the fuck out of nature at this point. That's what I gotta say. But then, the cutting their legs off scene, when, I think Matthias or whatever his name is, that was fucking savage. I don't really give a shit what anybody says. Sorry, one moment. Energy drink time. Alright, good. But when the person's legs get fucking cut off, even though this ain't a disturbing film, the way that was handled was pretty fucking gruesome, I gotta say. I mean, like, since it was stripped down to the bone, and there's, like, stones fucking smashing the fucking bones and shit, it was really freaky stuff. But here's one thing that I thought was amusing that I'd put here. Because unlike all of the fucking people in this fucking film, I found a solution, guys. Do you know what the solution is? Build a fucking fence. Build a fucking fence. Like, what the fuck? Like, you think that the Mayan people, or, like, the people around there, would have cut down some fucking trees or something and just built a damn fence around the perimeter. You know what I mean? Like, that way, no one's getting in there. No one's probably, if you build the fence high enough, and sturdy enough, no one's hopping that fucking thing. No one's gonna get in there and unleash this fucking plague on the fucking world if you build a goddamn fence around the goddamn Mayan temple. But apparently in the, however hundreds of years that it's happened, no one's thought to or cared to build a fence, apparently. I don't know. I'm joking around, of course. It's an awesome film and shit, but that also lends to more thoughts. Sorry, one moment. Extra drink here. And that is maybe I'm kind of wondering, maybe the reason they didn't build the fence is because one of the characters even mentions kind of sacrificial type of shit. And I mean, I haven't studied Mayan stuff in the past, the whole mysteries and all that stuff. I know some, but I'm not someone who's researching that kind of thing. But if you think about it, maybe that sort of makes sense why they didn't build the fence, is maybe in a way they're trying to appease, this the thing that's in there, those fucking vines, by allowing people to go in and allowing them to be, pretty much eaten and fucking devoured by these damn vines. Maybe they're hoping to sort of appease what they believe to be a god. Something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of the thought I'm getting kind of now. So that kind of answers maybe why they didn't build a fence. But, if Agony was around those fucking woods, I'd be building a goddamn fence. That's what I gotta say. I'd be staying the fuck away from the leaves, but I sure as hell would be taking every goddamn log and everything that I could, like via the forest style, and I'd be building a fucking fence around the damn perimeter to keep that shit the fuck away from me. But yeah, it was some pretty brutal scenes and stuff. The stuff that happened, it was definitely gruesome, and it was definitely like, like I said, had like a psychological horror aspect to it, as well as being creative, the unique setting and all that. To me, that's what, like I said, kind of made this film stand out, why I gave it the rating it, has. Maybe some of you guys would agree with me, or check it out, if you haven't checked it out. Hopefully you did, so I didn't spoil a bunch for you. But I think that now that's about all that I've got to say today. So, in the meantime, I hope you guys, if you guys are, traveling in the woods, having a hike in nature and all that, that nature is kind to you and not savage as fuck like it was in this film. Hopefully it's kind and merciful and peaceful like it damn well should be, and not malicious and horrific as fuck. So I hope you guys have an awesomely amazing fucking day, and this is Agony333 signing the fuck out. Peace, guys. Have an awesome one.